Hi everyone, welcome to Leading Experts. I'm Grayson Foster and thank you for joining me. Steve Siebold is a former professional athlete and national coach. He's spent the past 25 years studying the thought processes, habits, and philosophies of world-class performers. He's with us today to talk about his new book. It's very controversial. It's called Die Fat or Get Tough, 101 Differences in Thinking Between Fat People and Fit People. This is an amazing book that you've written.
Thank you.
And it is called Die Fat or Get Tough, 101 Differences in Thinking Between Fat People and Fit People. Why did you write this book?
Well, the obesity epidemic, as you know, is totally out of control.
Yes.
And no one's talking about the answer. And in my opinion, the answer is mental toughness. Mm-hmm. It's about mental toughness. It's about getting a diet, getting a good, healthy diet from your doctor, a great exercise program, and then having the mental toughness to have the willpower to stick to it. And that's it. That's the end. That right there could end the obesity epidemic in America, in my opinion. That's what the book's about.
How do you define mental toughness?
It's really, in a short definition, is emotional control. It's really being able to control your emotions, but also your thoughts, your feelings, your attitudes, especially in pressure situations. For example, you're hungry, you're on the road, there's the sign for McDonald's.
Right.
You're thinking Big Mac, a couple of fries, I mean the whole thing, the chicken McNuggets,
yeah.
And you say, wait a second. Is that helping me or is it hurting me? Mm-hmm. And you walk away and you go somewhere and you get a piece of salmon or something really healthy. Mm-hmm. That's what mental toughness really is, and this, as it relates to this process.
Okay. You spent 5 years putting this book together, and you interviewed fit people and also fat people. What, if you can distill it down, what was some of the biggest keys that you noticed between the two populations?
Well, I got fat. I got fat on the road. I'm a professional speaker, as you said, and I'm on the road, and I was 40 pounds overweight, and all of a sudden I thought, okay, this is not me. I was an athlete my whole life. This is not me. I was really disgusted and not happy.
Yeah.
So I changed it. Then I interviewed, as you said, hundreds of fit people and then hundreds of fat people. Mm-hmm. And the differences, I mean, they might be next door neighbors, but the difference is like they're living on a different planet.
Right.
I mean, just so many differences. One of them is fat people say, and the big pervasive idea in society, as you know, especially in America, is diets don't work.
Right.
Well, objective reality, mm-hmm. Diets do work. Diets mm-hmm. work. There are a lot of really great diets out there. They work. People don't work sometimes, and that's sometimes why they get fat. I mean, it's like me having a college degree and saying, well, I can't get a job. No one will hire me, so college degrees don't work. Mm-hmm. Or going to a health club. I joined a health club in January. I show up for a few times. I don't go back, and I say, well, the health club doesn't work. Mm-hmm. Weights don't work, and aerobics don't work, and of course they work. I didn't work.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's an interesting comment, just to further comment on what you just said. I've been on a diet my whole life. I mean, since I was as far back as I can remember. And it's not that I diet per se, but I just pay attention to what I'm eating and what I'm doing and how much I work out. Otherwise, I'd be fat.
Right.
And I think that's most of my friends as well.
It's easy to get fat. I mean,
right.
There's no question about it, especially because, you know, a lot of people are blaming the restaurants and the food companies and all these different cortisol and all these different, and obviously these things make it tougher for us to be fit. Mm-hmm. Just like you're saying in your own personal example, and it's the same for me and everyone else. This is not an easy thing to do, especially, right. Yeah, with all these societal pressures and all the things that are going on, but it is doable and it's not rocket science. There is no mystique to being fit. As you know, it's not easy. It takes a lot of work, but it is very, very simple, and there is no mystique. If you want the donut, you walk away from the donut. Go to the health club, work out, and watch what happens. Exactly.
Now, Steve, there's a lot of diet and exercise books out there. Obviously, we all know that. What makes your book Die Fat or Get Tough? What makes it so different?
It's not a diet book. It's not an exercise book. I have no expertise in diets more than any other person out there, or even exercising, even though I've been exercising my whole life. Mm-hmm. But I don't have really any specific expertise. This is just about the differences in thinking between fat people and fit people, people that are succeeding in this area of their life and people who are failing. So it's all about thinking. And I don't mean to say, because some people in the media are saying, oh, you're saying thinking, you think your way thin. Well, I don't think so. I don't think you're going to think your way thin.
Right.
But thinking is the beginning of the process, because thinking directly leads to behavior.
Right.
And behavior leads to results, good or bad.
Mm-hmm. Most experts say that diets don't work, and you did talk about that earlier.
Right.
You disagree with this idea in your book. What is your opinion?
Well, diets work. I mean, it's like saying budgets don't work. I mean, we can give all these different, well, I can't, I can't stay on a budget, so budgets don't work.
Right.
Well, is it my inability to stay on a budget, which I've had a problem with in the past as well, along with food and everything else.
Right.
But can I really blame the budget if I'm overspending? I don't think so.
Right.
I mean, I think it's me. It's not really the budgets. Absolutely. Are they difficult to stick to? Yeah, especially when you don't have a lot of money, they're difficult to stick to. Do they work? Well, of course they work. They work every time perfectly, just like diets. A good diet. I mean, I'm not talking about a fad diet. I mean, good, healthy diets. You go to your doctor, a respectable doctor, and you say, set me straight. This is your area of expertise. And those diets work. And I've studied some of the diets, and I mean, there are hundreds of them that are world class. They're fantastic.
You have been demonized in the media, and I guess we'll call it that because it's gotten bad for you, for calling fat people liars and say that they lack integrity. How do you respond to the critics that say that your book here is mean-spirited?
Yeah, I've taken some hits, and I don't blame the media for that, really. But fat people are liars. And again, I'm not speaking from an ivory tower. I stopped focusing and paying attention, and I gained 40 pounds, and I looked in the mirror and I was totally disgusted, as I said. And I lied to myself, Grayson. I lied to myself like all fat people do, and I said, oh, I look okay. Right. Oh, I'm getting older, right? We have all these built-in, and then I watch TV and the media and the commercials and whatnot, and they say, oh, it's not your fault, Steve. And I'm going, right, it's not my fault. I'm on the road. Yeah. I'm busy. I have things to do. And I have and I lie to myself, and all of a sudden I look in the mirror and say, wait a second, Steve, it's your fault. Grow up. Get tough, lose the weight, and that's what I did. But fat people are liars. They lie to themselves, they lie to other people, because the psychological self-delusion is a very powerful phenomena, you might say. This book cuts through that self-delusion. That's why it's written in the direct way it's written, and that's why I'm not trying to be a jerk in the book. I'm not trying to be unsympathetic to fat people, because again, I was fat, so I get the pain. I really do understand it.
Right.
But psychological self-delusion is so pervasive in this society around this particular topic. It takes straight talk to cut right through the self-delusion, and that's what this book does.
Let me ask you, because you've been overweight, and 40 pounds, may be a lot to some and not as much
to some. That'd be like three of you,
Right, exactly. That's true. Did you notice that people treated you differently when you moved through the world, because you do travel the world?
I did. I really did. I mean, I carry weight. My wife says I carry weight pretty well, but I went to a friend's wedding. This is the real activating event. And this shows I think more like a fat person, honestly, than a fit person. I probably shouldn't say it on TV, but it is absolutely true. I'm working on it. But I really, after I interviewed him, I realized I think more like a fat person, but I carry weight well. But the story is, about 5 years ago, I went to a friend's wedding, and a lot of the people I hadn't seen in a while, and they looked at me and they go, oh, hey, Steve. And it was all vanity. And I said, okay, not again. My ego is bruised, and I got a pretty big ego.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'm going to get rid of this. That's not going to happen again. Okay. And I did it mostly out of vanity. I hate to say it, but it's really true.
Well, whatever motivates you works.
Whatever works.
Good.
I might be shallow, but it worked.
That's right. Perfect. All right, we're going to take a break. Stay with us, everybody. Leading Experts. We'll be right back.